The hearing will start now.
Thank you.
This is originating application 192 of 2023, Babel Holding Limited. Originating application 193 of 2023, Babel Asia Asset Management Private Limited. Originating application 194 of 2023, Babel Block Limited. Originating application 195 of 2023, Moon Alpha Financial Service Limited. And originating application 196 of 2023, China Trading Services Private Limited.
All right, thank you. Morning, Mr. Alex Yeo, Ms. Joy Tay, Ms. Yeo, and Ms. Shilin Lee for the applicants, correct?
Correct, Your Honor, except Ms. Jo Tay is unable to join us this morning, with my apologies, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sorry. All right, let me then, let me end Mr. Zoom allocation. I'll come to the other parties in the course of the proceedings. Oh, sorry. All right, hold on a moment. All right, let me just Mr. Zoom allocations. The parties are reminded that there is to be no unauthorized photography or recording in any form and no dissemination of any photographs or recording of these proceedings. And only those counsel or persons notified to the court should be present in its location. The party should treat these proceedings as they would a physical hearing. All right, this is the application, your application, Mr. Yeo, for extension of the moratorium, as well as I believe the sealing of certain documents.
Yes, Your Honor, that would just be the 7th affidavit of Mr. Flex Wang.
All right. Let me just take stock of matters first, because I have a number of.
Apologies, Your Honor, I got the name wrong. Or rather, I referred to him by his informal name. It would be the 7th affidavit of Mr. Yang Zhou.
All right, thank you. All right, let me just check in with the parties. So the lawyers who are present, anyone opposing the extension of moratoria, please? Any of the lawyers present? If not, all right, thank you. Anyone opposing the sealing application? All right, I take it no one. All right, thank you. We have 2 case management matters. I believe they that would involve Paris State, correct, Mr. Chu?
That is right, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Chu and Mr. Mark Tan for Paris State. And I believe on the other side will be firstly for Mr. Wang Li, Mr. Dixon Chu, and Ms. Carol Yin, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and for Mr. Yang Cho, for Breakpoint, Mr. Lai Ka Cheong and Mr. Michael Chan, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Let's see. Are you expecting a fairly lengthy set of submissions, Mr. Chu?
Your Honor, it really depends on what the applicants are going to submit.
All right,
probably not more than 20 minutes.
All right, Mr. Chu, Mr. Dixon Chu for Mr. Wang Li. Are you expecting?
Yes, Your Honor. Not more than 20 minutes as well, Your Honor.
All right, and Mr. Lai?
Yes, 20 minutes, Your Honor.
All right, just roughly that. I just wanted to take stock because I just want to see whether we could have everything done this morning. If not, I would have to give directions for a special hearing date. All right, what I propose to do this morning is to take the extension of moratoria first, and then I'll deal with the sealing application, and then I will come to the case management application. So, Mr. Yeo, I think if everything goes smoothly, the applicants can drop out for the sealing application. For the case management applications. Doesn't concern you, your clients, I believe.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Sorry, DRB it's not here. Ms. Charlene Wee for Genesis. Any position to be taken today on anything?
We're not taking a position, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, let's begin then with the extension of the moratoria application, Mr. Yeo.
Yes, Your Honor. Just as a matter of housekeeping, to update Your Honor as to the latest figures, because we had received further letters of support after that, and we have just received the indication that Genesis will not be taking a position. So, Your Honor, there's one further letter of support from Maple Finance, which was received after the filing deadline for submissions. Which I believe was on Friday. That brings the total number of letters of support to 5 letters of support in relation to 6 creditors.
Mm. All right.
That would be 3.4% in total number of creditors
Mm-hmm.
and 8.6% in total gross value of claims.
All right.
We undertake to file the redacted version of the letter of support after this, Your Honor.
All right. Hold on a moment. Hold on. Sorry.
Certainly.
All right, Mr. Karpuri from Ashes is here for derived. Hold on.
That's correct. Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning. Sorry, Mr. Puri, is your client taking any position this morning?
No position, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, carry on, Mr. Yo.
We've also received separately from letters of support, we've received responses from 3 creditors indicating that they are not taking any position. This includes Genesis, Derived, and Parastate, Your Honor.
All right.
That is 1.7% in number and 44.3% in total gross value.
Sorry, 44?
0.3%.
All right, thank you.
With that, Your Honor, I will, with that housekeeping out of the way, with Your Honor's permission, I will turn to my written submissions.
Yes.
At paragraph 12.
Yes. You can take it that the law doesn't have to be traversed. I think you can just focus on the question of the fulfillment of the usual criteria for extension.
Yes, Your Honor. In that case, with Your Honor's permission, I will skip to paragraph 26. This essentially serves as hopefully an update on where we are in the restructuring process and why we need more time, Your Honor. Since the previous moratorium orders were granted, we had sought to source for new financing and obtain more signed new money term sheets and warrant term sheets. I will update Your Honor on the status of that shortly. Second, to refine the restructuring plan to be placed before creditors. Again, this is just an outline. I will come to this in greater detail later. And third, to actually put forward the restructuring term sheet and updated restructuring plan and discuss that with creditors. So turning to each of that in turn, now at paragraph 28, Your Honor, since the filing of the previous affidavits, additional new money term sheets were received in late March to early April. But we do highlight, of course, at paragraph 29(1, that there is prevailing uncertainty surrounding the crypto market, and there is a general economic slowdown that has kept the risk appetite of prospective investors very low. So that has served as a hurdle to date in negotiations with prospective new money investors. Over the page, Your Honor, nonetheless, what we set out over the page is that apart from the $24.1 million of signed new money term sheets received, Your Honor, this was at the time, no further new money term sheets are to be expected. Now, if we include both new money term sheets and warrants term sheets as well, the total pledged amount of new money capital raised is 41.8 million. I will highlight here that at the top of the page, Your Honor, will see that the target was 47.5. I believe we're fairly close to that, Your Honor. Your Honor, we also updated that key members of the applicant's previous international counsel, Kirkland and Ellis, had left to pursue other opportunities, and that caused some delay. Some time was then required to onboard new international counsel from Latham and Watkins. Your Honor, at paragraph 30, we set out that even after the replacement of international counsel, within 2 weeks of reporting that replacement, we made significant progress. First, to update the new money investment plan and discussions on long-form documentation on new money investments.
Mhm.
We then sent the long-form documentation for new money investment to all prospective new money investors on the 30th of June.
Mhm.
We then also made efforts to refine the proposed restructuring plan, because the restructuring plan depends in turn on the new money plan. And we communicated that to creditors. So the updated restructuring term sheet was circulated on the 28th and 30th of June.
Mhm. Yes.
There was also long form documentation for the implementation of the restructuring. That would be the scheme terms itself. That is still in progress, Your Honor.
Mhm.
We then held briefings via Zoom. I'm now at paragraph 31.
Mhm.
We held briefings via Zoom to update creditors. This was on the 7th of July.
Mhm.
At paragraph 32, we reproduced the indicative timeline that had already previously been circulated to the court, just to give Your Honor a sense of where we are in the process. Most notably, I would say, Your Honor, at paragraph 32 over the page, Your Honor will see 10th July was the deadline for key creditors to provide comments on the restructuring term sheet and RSA. Your Honor, I will highlight that we have still not received comments to date. We have received responses indicating that they will respond in due course.
Mhm.
We received that from some creditors, Your Honor, still not all. So we are still following up with the rest.
Mhm.
We have not received objections, but similarly, I can't say that we've received signed restructuring term sheets.
Mhm.
Your Honor, turning now to Your Honor, again taking the law as read, I will skip, Your Honor, to paragraph 38.
Mhm.
That the extension sought brought against the context of the revised timeline that I just brought Your Honor through. And just to boil it down to its essence, at 38 subpara 1 over the page, as a result of updates to the new money plan and restructuring plan, more time is needed, Your Honor, beyond the current expiry date of the 21st of July. 38 subpara 2, that the revised timeline is intended to give adequate time to creditors to consider and actually provide feedback. Subpara 3, that we do need time to negotiate and finalize the long form documentation for new money investors. As I noted, Your Honor, we had sent them the long form documentation on the 30th of June.
Mhm.
And that also in turn will need additional time to actually convene the scheme meeting itself, Your Honor, with the current target date being the 25th of August.
Mhm.
Your Honor,
What do you expect to happen on the 25th of August?
we hope to actually file the application to convene scheme meetings, Your Honor.
All right. All right, carry on, please.
Your Honor, if we do not get this extension, just over the page at paragraph 40, there is a significant risk of hostile creditor enforcement in Singapore and elsewhere as well. And Your Honor, perhaps if I could be granted the indulgence to skip ahead to that. There is ongoing proceedings. Your Honor, I cover this at paragraph 65 of my submissions on page 29.
Yes.
In addition to the multiple statutory demands that Your Honor would have already seen previously, and the proceedings that Your Honor was already updated at the previous hearing, paragraph 65 notes that actually those proceedings haven't ended, so to speak, notwithstanding the earlier moratorium granted by Your Honor. So of key concern, Your Honor, is the fact that derived issued a statutory demand on the 6th of February in Hong Kong. They thereafter commenced proceedings by writ in the Amsterdam courts on the 31st of March. This was before the granting of Your Honor's previous moratorium order. What I wish to update Your Honor on is that these proceedings are still on foot. So, notwithstanding the moratorium, what derived sought was to adjourn the hearing for summary procedure. As I understand it, Your Honor, that is fairly similar to summary judgment. They had originally fixed that on the 16th of May. That has been adjourned to the 24th of August. So, Your Honor, the risk is that if we don't get an extended moratorium, that there will be, among the other proceedings that we had updated, Your Honor, on a risk that these proceedings could result in some kind of judgment or enforcement action. Obviously, we contest these proceedings, but there is a risk, Your Honor. Your Honor, the third thing that I wanted to turn Your Honor to is the important component that I provide Your Honor sufficient financial disclosure and other disclosure. Your Honor would have seen, even in the lead up, even before we made the current application to court, that we provided very, very detailed written updates to court with both the good news and the bad news, even before filing this application. Your Honor, I will turn to paragraph 48, Your Honor, to provide further disclosure. Your Honor, paragraph 48 sets out that, yes, we've provided the previous letters and also affidavits, just to set out what are the key points that we've updated on, by no means exhaustive. We updated, Your Honor, on each of the steps in securing new money investment, the replacement of international counsel. I would highlight 48 subparagraph 1A, Roman numeral 2. Sorry, that's at the top of page 25.
Yes.
I would highlight that we also updated on the disposal of specific assets. This was the sale of shares in BIT Technologies Holding Company. Babel shareholder was the registered shareholder. That is not one of the scheme companies. It's the shareholder entity above Babel Holdings. With the completion of the sale being on the 2nd of June. So we provided a very detailed discussion of that in the 5th affidavit, in particular on the share transfer restrictions that prevented us from selling for any higher price than what we entered into the agreement for, or into the investment for. Other things that we have disclosed, I would highlight subparagraph C, still on page 25. We highlighted the initial contribution of approximately $2 million in the form of assets from Mr. Del Wang or Mr. Wang Li. We also updated on the termination of Babel Asia Asset Management's lease of its office premises in Singapore. Your Honor will recall that that was previously one of the connecting factors to Singapore. That lease was terminated. We also expressly included disclosure of an email very obviously drafted by a layperson in my applicant's office. I believe it was Mr. Flex Young himself, where he said that he's terminating the lease because of insolvency. Because the applicants would go into insolvency in July of this year, which in his affidavit, he explains what he meant by that to be that if they don't terminate the lease, if they keep having to pay lease installments, the Babel Group would essentially not manage to pay it, would be unable to service its debts under the lease. Your Honor, we also disclosed investigations pertaining to the group's interest in Cipher Investment Limited. The key thing here is that we had disclosed in our earlier moratorium affidavit a list of what assets the group has, including a list of their private equity investments, I think was what we referred to it as, in various companies. Since the previous affidavit was filed, it has been alleged that the Babel Group has no actual interest or no further interest in this entity called Cipher Investment Limited, which was part of the table of assets which we had provided previously. It has also been alleged that this investment was disposed of in return for essentially certain debt being set off. The group is still investigating this, and hopefully without offending Cipher, I would point out that it is odd that Cipher Investment had provided a letter of support as creditor for the current proceedings, if according to the very deal which they, very documents which they have since provided to say that we have no more interest in their shares, according to those documents, they're not supposed to be a creditor anymore. So, Your Honor, bottom line, that's still an open investigation item, but even though investigations are still ongoing, we have still taken the step to disclose these events to Your Honor. Your Honor, the final submission I would make, I don't intend to take Your Honor through the rest of my submissions in too great a detail. The final submission I'll make on the moratorium extension request is that no person, including any creditor, has come forward to oppose the application, either by filing an affidavit or filing submissions or indicating even in writing, Your Honor.
All right.
Whereas, as I detailed at the beginning of this hearing, we do have some letters of support, albeit fairly low in value. I disclose at the outset.
All right. The fulfillment of the usual legal criteria for extension to be granted.
Yes, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, the usual legal criteria I would submit is first, we need to apply more than 2 weeks in advance. That was provided for in the practice directions. We did so. The moratorium was due to expire on the 21st of July. We filed our application on the 3rd of July.
Yeah.
Your Honor, the second criteria was that we provide sufficient disclosure as highlighted by Your Honor in ZipMax amongst many other cases. We have fulfilled that as well. And third, Your Honor, my submission is that the extension applications are brought bona fide. I don't believe there's any suggestion otherwise. It is brought in effect to allow a restructuring which is to the creditor's benefit to take place, or at least to give creditors additional time to digest the proposed restructuring terms.
Yep. All right.
Would Your Honor like me to turn to the sealing issue, or should I leave that answer?
I think leave the sealing aside for the moment. So let me just confirm with the parties, the lawyers present, that there are no objections being raised. All right, thank you. I take it as none. Hold on a moment, please. Sorry, all the summonses are in the same form, correct?
Yes, Your Honor. Confirm.
All right. So until 15th September, but what do you expect to occur by 15th September?
Your Honor, as we hope to file the convening application by the 25th of August,
Mhm.
our hope is that the hearing of the application for leave to convene the scheme meeting might occur by then, at which point Your Honor might be minded to grant an extension of the moratorium to cover the period, if not up until the sanction hearing, then at least up until perhaps the scheme meeting.
All right, so it's more of a long stop date, but you intend for the scheme meeting to be convened by late August.
No, Your Honor. The application for leave to convene the scheme meeting will be late August,
Yes.
25th August.
Yes.
And then the hearing of that application for leave to convene the scheme meeting, we imagine would be mid-September. That is why we propose mid-September.
Sorry, let me be clear. You intend for the scheme meeting application to be heard by 15th September.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I know I've mentioned this before, Mr. Yeo, but really, I don't want there to be a kind of creeping extension bit by bit over the months. I think really, whatever the circumstances, if by September you're not ready, it might be time to consider whether other options should be pursued. I don't know whether I can be persuaded for any substantial extension after September. All right, Mr. Yeo.
I hear you loud and clear, Your Honor. And I will make sure my client is aware.
All right, I'm satisfied that the grounds have been made up for the moment for the extension as paid for in all these summonses. The grant order in terms of prayers 1, 2, and 3 of each summons. All right. The sealing application, can you state the position broadly, please? Why you're asking for sealing?
Your Honor, this is actually pursuant to Your Honor's previous sealing order, so that there actually is no fresh sealing application which is made. It is that Your Honor's previous sealing order provided for affidavits which contain unredacted names of creditors, or unredacted names and addresses and signatures, or in letters of support, be sealed under until further order. So that is precisely what the 7th affidavit of Yang Zhou contains.
All right, so basically you just need me to clearly extend it to the 7th affidavit, correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. All right, I don't think there are any objections to this. In the event if any parties decide that they need to have the unredacted version, they may apply to court and we will delve into the matter further.
Obliged, Your Honor.
So for good order, the sealing is extended to this affidavit until other order of court.
Your Honor, with my apologies, I also realized that we indicated we would file a further letter enclosing a further letter of support that we had received.
Yes.
Grateful if Your Honor's order could cover the further, should I make it a further affidavit to be filed or further letter to be filed at Your Honor's?
At this moment, I'll just let the letters come in. So the sealing will also extend to the letters to be filed capturing the latest letters of support. All right.
Much obliged, Your Honor.
All right then. All right, that takes care of your application and related issues. And then I think we can move on to the case management applications between Paris State on the one side and Mr. Wang Li and Mr. Yang Chiu on the other. Anyone else amongst the lawyers need to sit in for the case management stay applications? Mr. Yu, I assume not.
No, Your Honor.
All right. So who's left? Ms. Wee, are you seeking to stay?
No, Your
for-
Honor.
All
No,
right.
Your
Thank,
Honor.
thank you, Mr. Puri. Are you seeking to stay for that?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right. All right then. So let's take a short stand down, and then we will resume this case management application. I think does not concern the general shareholder other creditors. So it relates only to from what I can see, a separate matter. So we will take it separately without, and basically it will be heard in chambers. So no one else to be present. All right, we'll stand down for that, and we'll readmit all the lawyers for Paris State, Mr. Wang Li and Mr. Yang Chiu. All right, Annie, you can make the arrangements?
Yes.
All right, thank you. We'll stand down for a few minutes then. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor, and thank you to my learned
Thank
friends.
you. All right, good stands. Good day.